Well, welcome back to our special coverage of TechPoint's 19th annual Mira Awards. Well, trucking is the backbone of e-commerce for U.S. companies, moving some 70% of goods nationwide. Indianapolis-based startup FreightRover is poised to bring together more than 500,000 for-hire carriers and shippers responsible for transporting billions of dollars in goods. The tech company wowed the judges by growing to nearly 30 employees in its first 6 months and raising $9 million. FreightRover is this year's best new tech startup.
If you think about the market today, it's about 50,000 drivers short right now and growing, and that's expected to continue to double almost every couple of years. So really where we specialize is trying to maximize the capacity that's available by connecting it with the shippers and third-party logistics providers that need to have products in factories and products on the shelves and helping them find the alternative capacity. It is a very fragmented industry, so you have some very large players, some of which operate here in Indiana, but then you have tons, actually 97% of the capacity that's available are 20 trucks or less. So you have to have some sort of engine that brings that together, and that's where FreightRover lies.
Yeah, as you look at the continued growth in the e-commerce space, that would seem to play right into your company's future potential.
When consumers are saying, I want it now or I want it yesterday, so shippers are having to get extremely creative, and how do they meet that demand? Amazon is continuing to push everyone in that space, and so we've really created technology that brings a lot of integrations together to help maximize the time constraints, the cash constraints, and the capacity constraints that are within the transportation industry.
You've grown very rapidly, 27 employees your first 6 months, raised nearly $10 million in capital. As you look at the opportunity for continued growth, how important is it to be in Indiana, a state that really values distribution and logistics?
We are the crossroads of America, so not only for us being a tech company is this state amazing with the growth that we're seeing in technology, but for the transportation that specializes within this state, from our water ports to our interstates to our warehouses, we rank in the top 10 on multiple facets within the industry, and so it's a great opportunity for FreightRover to really specialize in what we do, but also to highlight how special Indiana is.
Mike, as you look at the trucking industry, I don't think a lot of people think of that as a very tech-savvy or tech-enabled industry, but here's innovation built right here in Indiana that's really getting to the heart of the industry.
Indeed, as I referenced in the last segment, we saw several businesses that were at the nexus of things that Indiana has historically done well, logistics being one, ag being another, and then our tech industry too. This is a perfect example, one that was a new name for a lot of folks that weren't familiar with this company, but they had remarkable traction. I mean, this category is for a company that really came to market for the first time in 2017. And so to get that kind of traction of hundreds of customers, $9 million in capital raise, as you said, almost 30 people hired to the team. They've got really great trajectory, and it's an interesting market where you have 70% of all the goods that traverse across the country travel by truck. And it's a large market with, I think, about 550,000 for-hire carriers that operate very manual processes and fragmented processes. And so they've found a place to apply technology to automate and integrate what's currently a pretty manual process. And it would be really cool to see that nexus of logistics and technology thrive here in Indiana.
And indeed, when you talk about e-commerce, the trucking industry is critical for that business.
Indeed, there's just so much transformation that's happening in that space, and it's happening both through the players like Amazon was referenced before, and the way that that's putting pressure on traditional retailers and also pressure on logistics. And so you're going to see a lot of shifts that happen in that industry writ large as a result, and we got to make sure that as much of that happens here as possible.
All right, we've got one more company we're going to check out in a minute.